Learning outcomes. After studying this module, you shall be able to the basic structure of the Act, important concepts like meaning of foreign exchange rate and demand and supply of foreign exchange, dealing in foreign exchange and holding of foreign exchange, etc. Important provisions related to export of goods and service, realization and repatriation of foreign exchange, exemption from realization and repatriation of foreign exchange in certain cases. Introduction. Foreign Exchange Management Act FEMA 1999 has in total 40 sections classified into 7 chapters. Chapter 1 with the heading Preliminary contains section 1 and 2. Chapter 2 containing section 3 to 9 deals with regulation and management of foreign exchange. Chapter 3 dealing with authorized person contains section 10 to 12. Chapter 4 containing sections 13 to 15 deals with contravention and penalties. Chapter 5 containing sections 16 to 35 deals with adjudication and appeal. Chapter 6 containing sections 36 to 38 deals with Directorate of Enforcement. Lastly, Chapter 7 containing sections 39 to 49 deals with miscellaneous. Reserve Bank of India is interested with the administration and implementation of FEMA. Now we will discuss upon the meaning of foreign exchange. Foreign exchange is the system or process of converting one national currency into another and of transferring the ownership of money from one country into another country. Next, the meaning of exchange rate. Exchange rate is the rate at which one currency can be exchanged for another. Now we will discuss upon the sources of demand for foreign exchange. The demand for foreign exchange comes from individuals and firms who have to make payment to foreigners in foreign currency. Thus, the sources of demand include import companies, foreign investors, speculators, lending to foreigners, etc. Next, the relationship between exchange rate and demand for foreign exchange. There is an inverse relationship between exchange rate and demand for foreign exchange. When an exchange rate increases, the demand for foreign exchange decreases, and when an exchange rate decreases, the demand for foreign exchange increases. There may be two situations. First, when exchange rate increases. When exchange rate increases, the imports becomes costlier and the importers curtail the demand for imports. Consequently, the demand for foreign currency falls. Second, when exchange rate decreases. When exchange rate decreases, the imports become cheaper and the importers increase the demand for imports. Consequently, the demand for foreign currency increases. Next is the relation between exchange rate and supply of foreign exchange. There is a positive relation between exchange rate and supply of foreign exchange. It states that when exchange rate increases, supply of foreign exchange will also increase, and when exchange rate decreases, supply of foreign exchange rate will also decrease. Hence, there may be two situations as under. First situation, when exchange rate increases. When exchange rate increases, export earnings will also increase. Consequently, the supply of foreign currency increases. Second situation, when exchange rate decreases. When exchange rate decreases, the export earnings will also decrease. Consequently, the supply of foreign currency decreases. Next is the process of determination of exchange rate. It is the interplay of demand and supply forces that determines the foreign exchange rate between two countries. For example, the exchange rate between the rupee and US dollar depends upon the demand for US dollar and the supply of US dollar in the Indian foreign exchange market. Next, we will discuss upon the dealing in foreign exchange. Subject to FEMA, rules or regulations made thereunder, no person shall a. Deal in or transfer any foreign exchange or foreign security to any person not being an authorized dealer. B. Make any payment to or for the credit of any person resident out of India in any manner. C. Receive otherwise through an authorized person any payment by order or on behalf of any person resident outside India in any manner. For the purpose of this clause, where any person in or resident in India receives any payment by order on behalf of any person resident outside India through any person, including an authorized person, without a corresponding inward remittance from any place outside India, then such person shall be deemed to have received such payment otherwise than through an authorized person. D. Enter into any financial transactions in India as consideration for, in association with, acquisition or creation of transfer of a right to acquire any asset outside India. For the purpose of this clause, financial transaction means making any payment to or for the credit of any person or receiving any payment for by order or on behalf of any person or drawing, issuing or negotiating any bill of exchange or negotiating any promissory note or transferring any security or acknowledging any debt. Next, the holding of foreign exchange, etc. Subject to the FEMA, rules and regulation made thereunder, no person resident in India shall acquire, hold, own, possess or transfer any foreign exchange, foreign security or any immovable property situated outside India. Next, we will discuss upon the export of goods and services. This matter may be dealt with under the following headings. First, declaration by an exporter of goods, services, software. Every exporter of goods, services, software must give a declaration in one of the forms set out below to the specified authority. First, declaration in the prescribed form for goods through air, sea. For this purpose, the specified authority is the Commissioner of Customs. Second, declaration in form P for goods through postal channels. For this purpose, the specified authority is the postal authority through whom the goods are dispatched. Third, declaration in form soft text for software. For this purpose, the specified authority is the designated official of the Department of Electronics of Government of India at the Software Technology Park or the Free Trade Zone. Second, exceptions to the furnishings of declaration for exports. In the following cases, the exports of goods and services can be made without furnishing the declaration. First, trade samples and publicity materials supplied free of payment. Second, personal effects of travelers, whether accompanied or unaccompanied. Third, ships store transshipment cargo and goods supplied under the orders of the central government for military, naval or air force requirement. Fourth, goods or software accompanied by a declaration by the exporter that they are not more than rupees 25,000 in value. Fifth, by way of gift of goods accompanied by a declaration by the exporter that they are not more than rupees 1 lakh. Sixth, aircraft or aircraft engines and spare parts for overhauling and or repairs abroad subject to their re-importment into India after overhauling repairs within a period of 6 months from the date of their export. Seventh, goods imported free of cost on re-export basis. Eighth, goods not exceeding $1,000 or its equivalent in value per transaction exported to Myanmar under barter trade agreement between central government and the government of Myanmar. Ninth, the following goods which are permitted by the Development Commissioner of Export Processing Zones or Free Trade Zones to be re-exported, namely A. Imported goods found defective for the purpose of their replacement by foreign suppliers, collaborators. B. Goods imported from foreign suppliers on loan basis. C. Goods imported from foreign suppliers, collaborators free of cost found surplus after production operations. 10th, replacement goods exported free of charge in accordance with the provisions of Exemption policy in force for the time being. Third, time period within which export value of goods software is to be realized. The repatriation representing the full export value of goods or software must be made within 6 months from the date of export, where the goods are exported to a warehouse established outside India. The amount representing the goods exported shall be paid to the authorized dealer as soon as it is realized, but in any case within 15 months from the date of export. In case the amount is desired to be realized after more than 6 months, as mentioned above, the permission of Reserve Bank of India is required. Fourth, set off of export trade receivable against import trade payables. Any arrangement involving adjustment of the value of goods imported into India against the value of goods exported from India requires permission from RBI. Fifth, advance payment against export and payment of interest on such advance. As per FEMA, where an exporter receives export advance payment with or without interest from a buyer outside India, the exporter is under an obligation to ensure that first, the shipment of goods is made within 1 year from the date of receipt of advance payment. Second, the rate of interest, if any, payable on the advance payment does not exceed LIBOR plus 100 basis points. Third, the documents covering the shipment are routed through the authorized dealer through whom the advance payment is received. Fourth, where however the exporter is unable to export within the set period of 1 year, repatriation of the full amount or part amount or the interest shall be made only with the permission of RBI. Sixth, goods exported to be on lease on hire. Sometimes it may be necessary to export machinery, equipment on hire or lease on the basis of an agreement with the overseas party and re-import the goods exported. In such a case, the exporter should apply for RBI permission through the authorized dealer through whom he wishes to carry out this transaction. Seventh, what about third party exports, that is where the GR form has been signed by one party and it is negotiated or collected by some other party through an authorized dealer, where the original declaration form has been signed by one party and other party draws the bill and shipping documents. The authorized dealer is permitted to negotiate or collect the documents provided the party drawing the bill countersigns it and undertakes to realize the proceeds within the stipulated time. 8th, trade discount on export. An exporter may allow trade discount provided it has been declared in the relative GR form at the time of exports and accepted by the customs authority. In the case of export by the post parcel, the authorized dealer is permitted to accept deductions on account of trade discount provided that it is in conformity with the discounts usually allowed in the particular line of export trade. 9th, rules regarding part drawings. In certain line of export trade, it is the practice of exporters not to draw the bills for the full value of the goods but to leave a small part undrawn for payment after adjustment due to difference in weight, quality, etc. ascertained after arrival and inspection and analysis of goods. In such a case, the authorized dealer may negotiate bills provided the undrawn balance is in conformity with the particular line of trade and does not exceed 10% of the full export value. 10th, rules regarding the reduction in the value of export bill. It may be noted that the permission of RBI is not required and the approval of authorized dealer is required. The rules are as under. First, a letter in writing giving full particulars of the consignment is to be addressed to the authorized dealer. Second, the reduction shall not exceed 10% of the invoice value. Third, it does not relate to the export of gold or silver jewelry or articles made out of cut and polished diamonds. Fourth, it does not relate to commodities subject to floor price stipulations. Fifth, the exporter should surrender the proportionate export incentives availed of. Sixth, the exporter is not on the exporter's caution list of RBI. 11th, approval of RBI for change of buyer consignee. Prior approval of RBI is not required if after the goods have been shipped they are to be transferred to the buyer other than the original buyer in the event of default by the original buyer provided the reduction value, if any, does not exceed 10% and the realization of export proceeds is not delayed beyond the period of 6 months from the date of shipment. 12th, rules regarding mercanting trade. Mercanting trade is also known as intermediary trade. These are the transactions where the goods are either shipped to the country of the buyer or transshipped at an Indian port under customs supervision. The authorized dealer in such cases must ensure: first, goods involved in the transactions are permitted to be imported into India. Second, such transaction does not involve foreign exchange outlay for a period exceeding 3 months, and third, the export leg complies with all rules, regulations and directions applicable to export out of India, and the import leg of mercanting trade transactions complies with all rules, regulations and directions applicable to import. Authorized dealers are also required to ensure timely receipt of payment for the export leg of such transaction. Now we will discuss upon the realization and repatriation of foreign exchange. Subject to the provisions of this Act, where any amount of foreign exchange is due or has accrued to any person resident in India, such person shall take all reasonable steps to realize and repatriate to India such foreign exchange within such period and in such manner as may be specified by RBI. Next, exemption from realization and repatriation in certain cases. The provision of section 4, that is holding of foreign exchange etc., and section 8, that is realization and repatriation of foreign exchange, shall not apply in the following cases. First, possession of foreign currency or foreign coins by any person up to the limit specified by RBI. B. Foreign currency account held and operated by such person or class of person and up to the limit as specified by RBI. Third, any income accruing or arising on foreign exchange acquired before 8/7/1947 which is held outside India by any person as per a general or special permission granted by RBI. Fourth, foreign currency held by a person resident outside India up to the limit specified by RBI if such foreign exchange was acquired by way of gift or inheritance from a person referred to in clause C, including any income arising thereon. Fifth, foreign currency acquired from employment, business, trade, vocation, services, honorarium, gift, inheritance or any other legitimate means up to the limit specified by RBI. Sixth, such other receipts or foreign exchange as specified by RBI. Now let us summarize. Foreign exchange is the system or process of converting one national currency into another and of transferring the ownership of money from one country into another country. Exchange rate is the rate at which one currency can be exchanged for another. The demand for foreign exchange comes from individuals and firms who have to make payment to foreigners in foreign currency. Thus, the sources of demand include import companies, foreign investors, speculators, lending to foreigners, etc. Subject to FEMA, rules or regulations made thereunder, no person shall deal in or transfer any foreign exchange of foreign security to any person not being an authorized dealer, make any payment to or for the credit of any person resident out of India in any manner, receive otherwise through an authorized person any payment by order or on behalf of any person resident outside India in any manner, subject to the FEMA rules and regulations made thereunder, no person resident in India shall acquire, hold, own, possess or transfer any foreign exchange, foreign security or any immovable property situated outside India, subject to the provisions of this Act where any amount of foreign exchange is due or has accrued to any person resident in India, such person shall take all reasonable steps to realize and repatriate to India such foreign exchange within such period and in such manner as may be specified by Reserve Bank of India.